Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about Barkskin, the spell for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. You can find that in the Player's Handbook on page 217. This is a level 2 transmutation spell. It has a casting time of 1 action. It has a range of touch, so you have to either touch yourself or some other creature. The components are verbal, somatic and material, and you need a handful of oak bark to cast this spell. It's a duration of up to 1 hour, but it's a concentration spell, so try not to take damage when you've cast the spell, because you will have to make concentration checks throughout that hour if you do take damage. You touch a willing creature. Until the spell ends, the target's skin has a rough bark-like appearance, and the target's AC can't be less than 16. Regardless of what kind of armor it is wearing. So I'm going to give you some illustrations so you can understand exactly what I mean here. This spell is quite unusual. It only sets a minimum AC for your character when it's cast. It doesn't actually set a maximum. So I'll explain that in a second. The first thing is, I know a lot of people when they cast this spell, they're going to ask me, okay, so my AC is currently 13 for my druid, and what happens when I cast the spell? Well, if it's less than, whoops, that was a bit strange. If it's less than 16, you're going to wind up with your AC. Your new AC is going to be 16. Okay, really simple. It's not hard to figure out at all. This spell is designed primarily for characters who have an AC that's less than 16. Not really greater than 16, but there are some other benefits to it. Okay, so what happens if my druid decides to wild shape into an animal? I've cast Barkskin on my character, my druid, or some other character, but primarily the druid transforms into other creatures, right? What happens if I actually transform after I've cast Barkskin? What happens to my character? Well, you still retain the effect of the spell. So even if you transform yourself into a panther, you still retain the effect of the spell Barkskin while you're in your wild shape form. So don't worry about that. Not going to be an issue. Okay, now I said that it sets a minimum AC. Okay, it doesn't set a maximum, it sets a minimum. And it's not a stackable spell. So I know a lot of people when they say, okay, so what happens if I'm carrying a shield? So if I'm carrying a shield and I'm wearing leather armor, my AC was 13. If I carried the shield, I'm going to add +2 to that. So essentially my AC is now 15, which is still less than 16. Okay, does that make sense? Essentially all I've done is raise the armor class without the spell and nothing else. You don't stack your shield bonus to the AC for the Barkskin. So it's not going to be like, okay, I got 16, now I add my shield bonus of +2, I'm now got an AC of 18. It doesn't work like that. The spell is actually designed primarily, as I said, to raise low-level AC that's less than 16 up to 16. Now you could cast this spell Barkskin on somebody who has an AC of 18, they're in plate armor, or got a plate armor and a shield, and their AC would be something like 20. You can do that. It's not going to change the overall AC of that character, because their character has got an AC that's greater than 16. But if it takes off that armor and ditches the shield, it's got a armor class of 16 because it's got the shield on it. Now, why would you do that? Why would you cast Barkskin on somebody with a high AC? Well, so you can take off the armor and you can go swimming or stealthing, because you get disadvantage when you're wearing heavy armor, and by having Barkskin on, you know, fighters and anybody who usually wears heavy armor still gets a decent armor class while they're doing their scouting or their stealth work. That's pretty much everything I have on the spell. I know the one other thing is, I know people have asked the question about, okay, can I stack the effect of armor class from a ring, shield, armor? No, it doesn't stack like that. It doesn't work. Okay, that's everything on the spell Barkskin. Hopefully you found this helpful and informative. If you did, please share, like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. If you like this video, I do have other spell videos so you can watch those. Make a comment if you like. If you have questions about Barkskin, I'll do my best to answer those. I know some of the stuff I've said might seem a little bit odd. I will reference stuff if people ask me to reference it in Sage Advice. There's one thing I will say though with Sage Advice is there are two competing opinions on how Barkskin stacks, and that is Jeremy Crawford says no, it doesn't stack, and then Mike Merles would say yes, it does stack. So just bear that in mind. Mike Merles and Jeremy Crawford don't see eye to eye on this particular topic. I usually take Jeremy Crawford's statements primarily because he's the official Dungeons and Dragons 5e rules Sage Advice. I mean, he's the one who makes the final call on all of this stuff. And till next time, keep rolling those 20s.